It is often said that gratitude can unlock the gateway to joy, hope, and a profound sense of peace. Yet, in a world where countless voices vie for our attention every day, it can be difficult to pause and truly reflect on the good that exists in our lives. We are bombarded by tasks, notifications, and challenges that fill up our daily schedules, and there never seems to be enough time to consider the blessings that quietly surround us. In the midst of this noise, it becomes easier to look at what is missing rather than what is present, to see what we lack instead of the abundance we already hold. But there is a beautiful truth waiting for us when we shift our gaze, and that truth is rooted in the power of gratitude. When we talk about gratitude, we often think of it as a polite response or a fleeting sentiment we might feel during pleasant situations. Yet gratitude has a deeper dimension than momentary relief or polite manners. Gratitude can become a posture of the heart, a way of perceiving our days, and a lens through which we experience the world. When that gratitude is directed toward God, it can transform us from the inside out. It reminds us that even in trials, challenges, or moments of uncertainty, there is always a light shining through the cracks. Gratitude brings hope where disappointment used to dwell and offers perspective in place of confusion. In that spirit, let us explore what it means to be truly grateful to God and how this posture can infuse every aspect of our lives with renewed meaning. Together, we will journey through the significance, challenges, and transforming impact of a life anchored in deep and genuine thanksgiving. Many people first encounter the concept of gratitude to God when they experience a positive circumstance like a job promotion, an unexpected financial gift, or the birth of a healthy child. In such moments of clear blessing, it feels natural to offer thanks. Our hearts swell with relief or joy, and words of appreciation come effortlessly. Yet the essence of gratitude to God extends beyond the occasional good day. It is not meant to linger only in the margins of life or emerge solely in celebratory times. In fact, one of the most profound aspects of expressing gratitude to God is learning to do so in seasons of darkness or challenge. It is relatively easy to feel thankful when we stand on a mountaintop, gazing out at a beautiful sunrise after having ascended through a path lined with success and affirmation. The more difficult test of gratitude lies in those valleys when things do not go as planned, when relationships unravel, when financial stability wavers, or when health issues strike. Gratitude in these instances seems counterintuitive, but it is precisely in these moments that gratitude can become an anchor for the soul, keeping us steady amidst the storms. To understand the power of being grateful to God, it helps to reflect on what gratitude accomplishes within us. For many, gratitude feels like a polite response to kindness, the verbal equivalent of saying thank you. But a deeper perspective sees gratitude as a transformative posture of the heart. When we intentionally recognize and acknowledge God's goodness, our perspective shifts away from what we do not have to what we do have. This heart shift can dramatically change our outlook on life. Instead of fixating on unfulfilled dreams or the stress of incomplete tasks, we begin to see the hand of God in daily gifts, big and small. Perhaps it is the simple joy of a morning sunrise or an unexpected kind word from a stranger. Perhaps it is the slow and steady provision that has sustained us over the years. Perhaps it is the quiet reassurance that we are never truly alone, even in our darkest valleys. Gratitude brings these truths to the forefront of our minds, and in doing so, reorients our inner world. Being grateful to God also leads us to reflect on the nature of the relationship between the created and the Creator. If we believe that God is the source of all good gifts, then gratitude becomes a natural response to the blessings we experience. Over time, gratitude paves the way for trust. When we recognize that God has lovingly provided for us in the past, we feel more confident about the future, even if the future remains uncertain. It is almost as if every thank you we utter builds a spiritual foundation, brick by brick, that holds us steady when we face obstacles. Trust and gratitude walk hand in hand, forming a powerful team. Trust reminds us that God's character is faithful, and gratitude keeps us aware of His kindness in real time. Many of us yearn to experience more joy and peace, but we might not realize that gratitude can serve as a doorway into those qualities. When we are thankful to God, we are deliberately reminding ourselves of the blessings we have received. This recognition counters worry, envy, and discouragement. Instead of dwelling on what might go wrong, we dwell on what has already gone right. Instead of longing for someone else's life, we see the gifts that make our own life special. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by our struggles, we gain comfort in recalling instances of divine provision or guidance. This is not to say that gratitude ignores pain or dismisses the very real challenges we face. Rather, gratitude situates those challenges within a larger context. We are allowed to acknowledge hardship and still maintain hope because we have learned to see both the sorrow of the moment and the rays of light that shine upon us. In a spiritual sense, gratitude can draw us closer to God by turning our focus toward Him. When we intentionally say, "I am grateful to God for this moment, this provision, this new day," we are actively opening our hearts to remember that we are recipients of grace. We become more mindful of the fact that our lives do not exist in a vacuum, that behind every breath there is a sustaining force. As we cultivate this practice of gratitude, we start to see the world differently. Seemingly insignificant details become sources of wonder. The intricate pattern on a leaf, the glimmer of sunlight reflecting off a puddle, or the gentle warmth of a breeze against our skin can each become tiny reminders of a benevolent Creator who delights in beauty and cares for us in ways we often overlook. Developing a habit of gratitude is not without challenges. In truth, it can be one of the most difficult disciplines to establish, especially when we have grown accustomed to complaining or comparing ourselves to others. Modern life encourages us to scan our surroundings for what is missing, for what we lack, for the next best thing. This mindset quietly undermines gratitude. When we are always reaching for more, searching for bigger or better, or feeling dissatisfied unless we achieve certain markers of success, we lose sight of the blessings at hand. Gratitude slows us down and calls us to see that there is already so much we have. It is not a barrier to ambition or striving. It does not discourage us from dreaming or working hard. Rather, it provides a sense of peace in the midst of those efforts, reminding us that each breath and each opportunity is a gift. In difficult seasons, gratitude might appear almost illogical. How can we be thankful to God when we lose a job, experience heartbreak, or face a serious health concern? Yet some of the most powerful moments of gratitude emerge precisely from these darker places. Gratitude does not necessarily mean celebrating the tragedy or misfortune itself. Instead, It can look like acknowledging and thanking God for His presence and comfort while we grieve, for the lessons we learn through trials and for the resilience we discover within ourselves when everything seems to be falling apart. There is a mysterious strength that arises from gratitude during hardship. It keeps bitterness at bay, prevents despair from swallowing us, and can direct our gaze toward the faint glimmer of hope that remains. In some cases, these are the moments when gratitude becomes most authentic because it is not based on easy, convenient blessings. It is born of a relentless belief that even in pain, God is near and that there is goodness to be found somewhere in the ruins. Being grateful to God also reorients the way we relate to others. When we walk through life with a thankful heart, we become more open-handed. We recognize that what we have received is not just for our personal benefit, but also for the good of those around us. Gratitude leads to generosity. If our hearts are full of thankfulness, it becomes natural to want to share that abundance, whether it is in material resources, time, or simply kindness. We are reminded that we did not earn every gift on our own, and that our blessings flow from a loving source. That realization makes it easier to be compassionate and considerate. Whether it is buying a meal for someone in need, spending quality time with a lonely neighbor, or simply offering a comforting word to a friend, each small act of kindness can be seen as an extension of our gratitude. This mindset turns everyday interactions into opportunities to express love and grace, thereby multiplying the gratitude we feel. Moreover, gratitude often brings about humility. When we are grateful to God, we are acknowledging that we do not control everything, that our talents, opportunities, and successes are at least partly due to grace. This humility counters the tendencies of pride and self-reliance, allowing us to walk through life with an awareness of our dependence on divine help. Such humility does not diminish our sense of worth. Rather, it anchors us in the truth that we are cherished creations who can accomplish much when we cooperate with God's guidance. This perspective allows us to celebrate our strengths and address our weaknesses without shame, because we understand that ultimately we are not alone in our journey. In nurturing a habit of gratitude, reflection becomes a powerful tool. Setting aside a moment each day to look back and intentionally identify reasons to be grateful can shift our entire demeanor. Perhaps before going to sleep, we take a moment to recall small or large blessings from the day. This practice doesn't need to be elaborate. Even a single quiet moment of thanks can lay a solid foundation for a night of rest. Over weeks and months, this type of consistent reflection starts to transform the lens through which we see life. We begin to anticipate finding good rather than stumbling upon it by accident, and we become more resilient when faced with setbacks. Gratitude to God also affects how we interpret our personal story. We often measure life by big events, graduations, marriages, promotions, or major turning points. But gratitude introduces a different scale of measurement. We begin to notice and appreciate small victories and everyday moments of grace. That is not to diminish the significance of major milestones. Rather, it adds layers to our appreciation. We realize that life is composed of countless moments that pass by silently, and each one can become a reminder of God's presence and grace. The more we see our lives in this light, the more rich and meaningful our daily existence becomes. Each morning, coffee, each shared laugh, each safe drive, Each moment of inspiration can become an occasion for thanks. Instead of waiting for grand miracles or dramatic events, we savor the subtle gifts sprinkled throughout our routine. At times, people worry that too much gratitude might lead to complacency or a lack of ambition. They fear that if they focus on being thankful, they might lose their hunger for progress or achievement. Yet genuine gratitude often sparks greater energy and enthusiasm. When you are truly thankful, you're energized by the blessings you acknowledge, and that energy propels you to do more, to share more, to love more. Gratitude can be an antidote to burnout. Rather than leaving us drained, it fills us with a sense of positive motivation. We become more likely to serve others, to use our talents for good, and to pursue purposeful goals, because we are already operating from a foundation of abundance rather than scarcity. In this way, gratitude and ambition can go hand in hand, each fueling the other in a healthy, balanced manner. Another challenge to sustaining gratitude is coping with comparisons. We live in a digital age where images of other people's successes and joys flash before our eyes constantly. It can be tempting to measure our own worth based on how we compare to others, which can breed discontent. Gratitude, however, is a powerful remedy to this habit. When we take time to reflect on our unique blessings, we become less preoccupied with someone else's path. We can celebrate their good fortune without feeling diminished in our own. Gratitude reminds us that we each have our unique journey, and the gifts we receive are tailored to our individual stories. This awareness fosters an environment of appreciation rather than competition, allowing our hearts to stay open and free from envy. In exploring the theme of gratitude toward God, it also helps to remember that gratitude is not always tied to emotional highs. Sometimes, we may go through seasons where we do not feel particularly happy or inspired. Perhaps doubt, anxiety, or sadness weighs us down. Even so, gratitude can still be practiced as a deliberate choice rather than a response to an emotional state. In moments when joy feels distant, we can summon gratitude by remembering past experiences of grace, by recalling the truths we believe about God's faithful nature, or by finding a single concrete blessing within reach. That step of faith can spark a subtle shift, gently leading us out of a place of heaviness. Over time, we may find that our feelings catch up to our decision to be grateful, gradually bringing our hearts back to a place of peace and reassurance. An important facet of gratitude to God is the acknowledgement that we are known and loved at a level deeper than we can fully comprehend. When we pause to recognize that the one who shaped the stars also cares for each of us individually, gratitude naturally follows. This sense of being cherished, despite our flaws and weaknesses, can fill us with awe. We might feel unworthy or overwhelmed, but in that space, genuine thanksgiving arises. We give thanks because we realize we have been invited into a relationship that far exceeds any earthly measure of significance or success. This awareness can humble us and uplift us in the same breath. It is a comforting paradox, realizing our smallness in the grand design of the universe, while also realizing how infinitely loved we are. Expressions of gratitude to God can take countless forms. It might be through silent prayers that bubble up from our hearts throughout the day, or through music and art that pour out our thanks in creative ways. It might be through quiet acts of kindness towards strangers, or through volunteer service in our community. In each case, gratitude is not just something we feel or speak. It is something we live. It permeates the way we treat our family, our friends, and even ourselves. It reminds us of our intrinsic value and the value of others, for each of us is a recipient of grace. Ultimately, gratitude can reshape the culture in which we live, one heart at a time, as people begin to recognize the deep well of goodness from which we can all draw. There's also an aspect of gratitude that involves remembering. Memory can be a powerful tool for sustaining thankfulness. By recalling how far we have come and how we have been guided, protected, or provided for, we reinforce our trust in God's ongoing kindness. This is one reason why journaling, telling stories, or sharing testimonies can be so impactful. When we speak aloud the ways in which we have experienced blessing, we not only remind ourselves, but also encourage those who hear us. These shared memories become threads that knit communities together, as each story of gratitude contributes to a collective tapestry of faith. Hearing how others have been touched by divine favor can stir gratitude in our own hearts, awakening us to blessings we might have overlooked. Because gratitude is so powerful, it can also serve as a form of resistance against negativity. When we choose to be grateful in the face of despair or cynicism, we are making a statement that hope and kindness still matter. We are asserting that goodness can be found if we are willing to look for it. Although the world can sometimes appear dark or unjust, gratitude is a vote for the presence of light and mercy. It declares that we believe in a God who is involved in our stories, a God who cares about the details of our struggles, and a God who desires to see us flourish. Even in times when answers do not come easily, gratitude maintains the space for faith to grow. Choosing gratitude can feel like a simple concept, but often requires daily recommitment. The truth is, many obstacles will try to pull us away from gratitude. These can be external factors like stressful jobs, broken relationships, or financial worries, as well as internal battles like fear, doubt, or resentment. Yet every time we decide to say thank you, especially when it is difficult, we are strengthening the spiritual muscle of gratitude. Over time, this muscle becomes more resilient, and gratitude becomes less of a rare occasion and more of a natural response. We begin to see life differently, with eyes that are trained to spot blessings in both sunshine and shadow. Ultimately, gratitude to God is an invitation. It beckons us to step beyond the mundane hustle of daily life and to connect with a higher reality where love and mercy abound. This invitation is open to everyone, regardless of background, age, or circumstance. It calls us to notice the sacred woven into the fabric of each new morning, to see our lives not as random accidents, but as intentional tapestries of grace. When we accept this invitation, our lives take on a new dimension. We discover an ongoing conversation with the one who fashioned our hearts. And in that conversation, there is room for both lament and joy, questions and certainties, heartache and celebration. Gratitude is the bond that ties these elements together, ensuring that no experience is wasted or overlooked. Choosing to live in gratitude to God does not promise an easy life. We will still face trials and burdens. We will still know tears and frustration, but gratitude has the power to alter the way we walk through those valleys. It fills our spirit with a resilience that arises from remembering the goodness we have tasted and the faithfulness we have witnessed. By staying close to that reservoir of gratitude, we find that our hearts can remain soft, our hope can remain alive, and our love for others can remain active, no matter how difficult the road becomes. We've explored the concept of being grateful to God by delving into its transformative potential, the challenges that accompany it, and the ways in which it can reshape our daily lives. Gratitude is not merely a polite expression, but a deep-rooted attitude of the heart. It is a lens through which we learn to see the good in every season, a discipline that shapes our outlook, and a profound pathway to cultivating joy and inner peace. Although the path is not always easy, especially in times of adversity, gratitude shines brightest when it is tested by hardship. In those moments, it becomes an anchor of hope, reminding us that we are connected to a source of love and grace far greater than ourselves. It is my hope that this message has ignited a spark within you. May it serve as a call to intentionally nurture gratitude in your own life, day by day, breath by breath. As you practice giving thanks to God, even for the smallest blessings, I encourage you to watch how your perspective shifts, how your relationships deepen, and how your spirit grows more resilient. Let gratitude become the posture of your heart, a place from which you move, speak, and live. In doing so, you may find that a wellspring of peace and joy bursts forth, carrying you into a life shaped by grace, hope, and unshakable thankfulness. Amen.